We are live now. Please go ahead.
We sure went through a lot of examples in this one. To remember key takeaways from this lesson, let's do a recap. IP commercialization has been defined as the process of turning an invention or creation into a commercially viable product, service, or process. The most common way to commercialize IP is through the sale of a product or service that incorporates the IP. However, IP may also be commercialized by way of sale or assignment or by way of contractual business deals. For example, licensing, collaborations, joint ventures, partnerships, or spin off companies. Commercialization depends on several factors such as 1. Resources, 2. Skills, 3. Risk appetite, 4. Business model, 5. Implementation strategy. Typically, every IP has a distinct value, and it is important to determine this value through valuation methods. There may also be cooperation or collaboration agreements where two or more parties agree to collaborate on a project. One type is a research and development agreement. Here, two or more entities perform joint research and development, and these entities need to agree before work begins on how to manage the intellectual property that each may create during the course of the joint development. Another type is technology transfer agreement, where one company is willing to share their intellectual property, like patents, software, and know how, with another company that wishes to commercialize the technology. We also learned about the TISE program of the World Intellectual Property Organization. The Indian government has implemented the TISE program through CIPAM, which works under DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Coming to commercialization, we learned that assignment and licensing are two primary channels for transferring rights in your intellectual property to another entity. Assignment takes place when ownership of IP right or rights is transferred to another person. The person transferring the ownership is known as the assigner. The person receiving ownership is known as the assignee. Licensing is practice of transferring the right to use the IP without transferring the ownership. The person granting the right to use the IP is known as licensor, and the person receiving the right is known as the licensee. Licenses allow IP owners to retain ownership and control of their intellectual property and to earn revenue or other benefits such as mutual knowledge transfer. We learned that as a business, you can choose to license in or license out IP. Cross licensing is another form of licensing that takes place between two or more parties. Here, each party agrees to grant other parties the right to use their intellectual property. This type of licensing agreement provides mutual rights to the IP to all the parties involved. Finally, we learned assignment and licensing are different from each other and can have number of pros and cons. You need to consider
Sir, you're on mute.
Hello, Nitin sir, can you unmute yourself, sir?
Sorry, there has been some freeze. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, you are audible now.
Okay,
Please
great.
go ahead.
Yes. Right, so namaskar and good evening to all. Apologize for the technical glitch. I would like to welcome you all today for L2 Pro workshop on technology transfer and IP commercialization for startups and MSMEs. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma. I work for Qualcomm as Technology Counsel, looking after various IP initiatives at Qualcomm India. I'm also co-chair of IPR committee at ASSOCHAM.
Hello.
This is a webinar series that we have started to connect with you all on the field of intellectual property. As we all know, this is the century of intellectual property. For any country who aims to play a significant role in the global economy, intellectual property plays a crucial role in achieving that goal. Through this webinar series and L2 Pro platform, our goal is to spread awareness around IPR. Today's webinar is a very interesting topic, and it's an interesting one where we will hear insights around technology transfer and IP commercialization from multiple distinguished speakers. I'll introduce them in a short while. Now, this series is brought to you by an IP course material called L2 Pro, which stands for Learn to Protect, Secure, and Maximize Your Innovation. The idea of this platform came from our Startup India program, wherein we invite startups to apply for this program, and then once they get selected, we help them through their journey. So during this journey, we realized that there are a lot of startups who are pretty good in understanding the IP strategy and have good understanding of how to use it to further their business. But at the same time, there are certain startups which basically were not that aware about IP strategy and needed some help. And so this idea came, and then we worked with the DPIIT, the Department of Industrial Policy and Trade, and CPAM to, along with NLU, to come up with this course material. This aligns with the Startup India mission and Make in India mission of Government of India. So there are two ways to access this platform, right? The first one is the website, which is l2proindia.com. With L2 Pro, we hope that we will increase the awareness and it will aid in better understanding of the intellectual property domain, specifically around how to protect the innovations with patents, how to use copyrights, especially in terms of software, how do you go about developing trademarks, and basically integrate the IP strategy into your company business models, right? We see that there are quite a few technology startups that are coming up, and we hope that through these efforts, they'll be able to obtain value from the research and development efforts that they are making. So as I said, the first way to access it is the website. So we have a l2proindia.com website, wherein there are this platform has three levels, basically. So first one is the basic level, which talks about the fundamentals of IP. One can get introduced to patents, trademarks, GI, copyrights, and the related IP rights. It also talks about unfair competition, trade secrets, and few other IP protection mechanisms. The next one, which is the intermediate level, talks about non-disclosure agreements and other covenants. It also gives insights into how to secure your IP by filing an acquisition of IP, how to commercialize it through assignments and licensing agreements, and of course, some insights into how do you do market assessments through the freedom to operate and other kinds of IP searches. Then there is an advanced level which talks about funding, venture capitals, and how the IP is used for startups. There's also an introduction to standards and how the standard setting organizations work and standards evolve. And finally, it talks about dealing with disputes, infringement, validity, etc.
So your video
So,
is not visible, sir.
okay, let's see. Okay, I hope it's visible.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the advanced level basically talks about the further concepts on funding, etc. There is also a mobile app version wherein one can access these modules through the mobile app. There are certain snippets that comes up as you go through the course, and there are certain questions that also pops up to validate your intermediate your learning as you go on, right? This also has a coverage of the Startup India program that we have and various other government initiatives that the startups and MSMEs must be aware of. It has introductory video which gives you 1 minute peek into the topic, and followed by, as I said, there is some questions and snippets that test your learning as you go. And finally, I would say that it gives you a very valuable certificate, which is on the completion of the course, you receive the certificate, which is co-signed by CPAM, DPIIT, NLU Delhi, and Qualcomm. So with that, I would like to introduce our first distinguished speaker, Dr. Dara Ajay, who is head of Tech Transfer Office at IIT Madras. Dr. Dara is an IP and tech transfer professional with 12 plus years of experience in handling broad range of IP management, including patent valuation, tech licensing, portfolio management, partner negotiations, etc. He's obtained his Master's of Law degree in Intellectual Property from Queensland University of Technology, Australia, and completed Masters of Science in Pharmacoinformatics, NIPER. His PhD in PAT informatics has enabled to develop a new software tool called IPAT, which is Intelligent Patent Analysis Tool for both retrieving and landscape analysis of patent information. He's a certified IP management professional from WIPO, Switzerland, and trained from SHIGA International Patent Office, Japan. It's an honor and privilege to welcome you, Dr. Dara. So over to you, and would like to hear about your insights into the topic.
Thank you very much, Nitin, for a right intro, and thank you very much for the Ashokam and all the supporting organizations who have kept this up and invited me. Pleasure being part of it. I guess I have 30 minutes only, so without any further ado, I just wanted to start the presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can. Please.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll just start the presentation itself. Okay, as I told, I mean, I'm also hearing this for the first time, L2 Pro, and it was a right insights that you have brought in, compiled together into an online platform for learning. And this is where I also understood that we are at an intermediate level of IP commercialization. So my presentations were more directed to understand both at a basic and intermediate level for the startup evaluation. So from this side, what you can take away is that the views expressed from me is as my own personal experiences and not of any of the organization representations. So the flow of the presentation, see, I was told that we would be, I mean, the context is on the startup entrepreneur ecosystem and the technology commercialization. So I will start the basics of what is the difference between a startup and an MSME, and whether you should register in a startup or MSME, or which one has the upper edge. Then we'll talk about a bit on the IP disclosure and a bit on the IP valuation. How do we perceive the IP importance for the startup? And then we will talk about the legal aspects of the legal aspects associated to that of the establishing the startup and the legal aspect associated towards the contracts and procurements for a startup, also the legal aspects associated within the innovation and invention, how it is differentiated. Then we will see a bit on the equity shares, IP valuation, and we'll just see the reasons for the failure of startups so that we can rectify the same. I'll just put my timer on to try to finish in 4:45. That should be fine, Nitin, right? Yeah.
Yes, please.
So,
I think 4:45 would be great. Thank you.
see, when as a basic, in a basic course, I'm a person or a group of 2 or 3 individuals who wants to do a startup, and we are not aware whether we should go, how to register a startup, whether we should register a startup, whether we should register an MSME. That's where the confusion begins. So just to begin with, anyone who is dealing the technology driven, innovation driven, disruptive solutions towards a product or services are falling under a startup, which means that if I can call myself a startup if I am dealing with any technology driven product services which are disruptive, novel, and innovative. Unlike the MSMEs or the small medium enterprises, need not have a technology driven thing, but it can be a manufacturing driven which is already existing, need not be novel again. So that is where you have to segregate a startup from that of MSME, that a startup is registered with the Department of Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade. This is DPIIT. This is where which has been funding for this project as well. So, and this startup can be either a private limited, limited liability, or a proprietorship, any of it. The core features is that it should not be beyond 10 years. It should not have beyond 200 people, and it should not have beyond cross beyond 100 crores of revenue. And the core entity cannot entity should be formed should not be formed by a splitting of a new thing. Like I'm a big one, I wanted to make a subsidy and I'll call it a startup. That won't work. It should be the first entity, and it should talk about the innovation and the scalability of a technology towards development, improvement of a technology. So when you see the ministry, there is another ministry called as Ministry of Small, Medium, and micro enterprises. This is called as MSMEs, and the difference here is this registration and that registration are 2 different ministries, and 2 different certificates will be given to you. Here you will be entitled to call yourself a small enterprise, medium, or a large. If your turnover is less than 1 crore, you're called as a micro. If it is less than 10 crores and between 50, it is small. And if it is investment is between 20 crores and turnover is less than 100, it's medium. So in a way, a startup and the MSMEs are capped at 100 crores turnover. But there is no limit of the time in terms of MSME. There's no such restrictions of the corporate structure. There's no restriction on the entity wise. The reason why I'm giving this info as an addition as a startup is that when you're getting certain certificate for your startups, like you're getting a certificate of a DPIIT, you will be eligible for some of the schemes which are provided by the DPIIT, which means these are Atal, Startup India Initiative, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. These are some of the schemes which are specifically given to the DPIIT. However, there are segmented schemes which will be helping you, like funding incentives, incubation incentives, legal support. So you can choose any of these schemes and avail the facilities of funding for your startup. Other way around is also there are multiple schemes available in MSME as well. And these schemes are very specific to that securing business loan or at what percentage you wanted to have it. So based on your need, you can apply for these schemes. And the certificate given for the MSME is a lot different from that of the startup. This is an Udyan certificate, and the startup certificate is, this is the startup certificate. What you can see is a DPIIT. The reason why we can either go for this or that is that in Startup India, we have much better, more enhanced schemes, very specifically hand-holding at an ideation stage till the commercialization and even the market, I mean, till technology transfer to the commercialization stage. So one can choose wisely of registering your startup. Now, if you wanted to register your startup, it should be under the Companies Act of 2013. And what are the key essential legal issues that you have to keep in mind is what is your entity type? I'm sorry. The entity type is the first one, and what is the shareholdings, what are the contracts, IPR, funding, and compliances. When you think about the entity types, it can be of various types based on the liabilities. You can open a company based on number of members, and it is based on control, whether it is holding a capital or associated companies based on the capital and companies. So out of this, we will only see the entity types which are, I'm an individual person. Am I eligible to open a company? I'm a member of 2-3 people. Will I be eligible to open a company? If you are an individual company, yes, you are eligible to have your own company, and it will be recognized as a entity by the government under the Section 31C of the Companies Act. It is called as one-person company. Only one person as a member can be here. And minimum paid up capital, there's no cap on it. You can start at whatever paid up capital that you are comfortable with. Because if you were to have a private limited, the minimum paid up capital would have a range of 1 lakh rupees or so. So here it would be your sole, only one person as a director, as an employee, and as a company. So government gives a provision for you to open your own company as single person. However, all single one-person companies are not entitled for all the schemes which have been developed by the DPIIT and the MSME. And if you were to open, it is recommended to open as a private company, which is called as XYZ Private Limited under Section 2 of 28. And this private limited is mostly registered as a startup in India maximum. And this is eligible for all the government grants, loans, as well as for the schemes which I have earlier talked about. Now here, when you're talking about a private committee, the minimum paid up capital is 1 lakh rupees, and it can go up as much as you can. We will see what is the differentiation of paid up and the authorized capital. And restriction of the rights of transfer is in the shares. You can have your shares given to within the founders of the members. And limited members is 200, and prohibited any invitation of the public to subscribe for a security of the company. When you're opening a startup, the basic understanding is that there are 4 pillars of running a business. One is the executive, one is the chief technology, because we are the technology which is driving the force of for the startup. Another is the finance, another is the marketing thing. Now, one cannot wear all the hats and one cannot do all the jobs at a time, but it is recommended that if you are planning to have a startup, have these 4 major persons who are taking care of these 4 major activities, because this is very much linked to the running of the company in a legal manner. Let's talk about the equity share. If I'm opening a startup as a private limited company, what is that I should have understanding in terms of equity? There are certain things called as paid up capital, called up capital, issued and authorized capital. These are just like a means of valuating your company also on paper. Means if you see, there is called as a face value, there is called as a paper value. This is a paper value of your company, that your company is paid up is 1 lakh. That is that you have your means you can be a easy way of assessing how much your startup would be. Now, if you can see the MNCs, the capital paid up or issue or authorized capital would be in crores. That itself is an indication. So you need not have a great sense of knowledge to understand what it is. So the maximum the authorized capital, it doesn't mean it is paid up. The paid up capital is something which your company is always already invested, which is the bare minimum paper value of the company. We will not dwell out of interest of time. There is IP issues which I wanted to talk about. As I told, when I'm starting my company, I'm an XYZ startup company and I have two people starting, and we are starting with the bare minimum of authorized capital at 1 lakh rupees, paid up capital at 1 lakh rupees. So it is up to me how to decide my shares. I can either keep it 10 rupees or 1000 rupees. If I'm keeping 1000 rupees, my share would be 100. I can distribute 100. If I'm keeping at 10 rupees, my shares would be 10,000. We'll have 5,000. So when you are going for an investment, which means like there is a third person walking in the venture capital and wants to fund your startup and wants to take a bit of shares. At that point, the face value of the share increases in the sense, yes, my investor comes in and puts in, say, 50 lakhs rupees for 5% of the 5% of the equity of the company. That is where your valuation will be increasing. So at that point, there are two other clauses that you have to be keeping in mind is anti-dilution clause and equity dilution clauses. If read through it because it will take time for me to explain about it. Public versus private. Now, since you are a private company, you have crossed within 5 years, you crossed 100 crores and you wanted to go into a IPO public company, then there are certain other norms and organization structures, because in a so public companies are usually held by the shareholders, promoters, and general investors, whereas a private entity is more into the management, founders, and the private investments alone. So there are certain differences which I have noted it down. We will see through it if time permits afterwards. Now, second important thing, this is what we have seen. How to open a startup. If you're opening a startup, what are the basic requirements? Then coming to the legal requirements, what are all the agreements that are very much important for us to know. So when you're opening a startup, you are not aware of the ocean that you would be sailing through in the coming years. So at a point and at some point or other, you will come across any of these agreements. So if I'm talking about what is very important when you're incorporation is a founders agreement, sole proprietorship agreement, shareholder agreement, partnership agreement. So anything go on a paper based rather than oral communications, that any engagements that you are having with any person, entity, or any set of financial transactions or any set of memorandum of understandings, let it be clear on the paper, because at the end of the day, when the conflicts arises, it is mostly rolled back to your agreements, your kind of engagement that you have. So for having a startups, these are some of the basic agreements that you should have in mind, especially if you're talking about the IP, whether it can be mutually disclosed, what is a non-disclosure agreement, whether you're talking about the IP transfer, what are the clauses, important clauses of IP licensing agreement, what are the, if you see IP licensing very corely, if you were to say what is an exclusivity, non-exclusivity, royalty, and what are the annual sales, net sales, what is the jurisdiction, field of use, these are the items that are to be understood, and you need not have a complete idea about it, but you should have a tab that these are the things that one should have when I'm writing a thing. Now you have a website. The website might have a copyright eligibility. You can check into the copyright things, and if there are some things of the secret, you can have a trade secret. Likewise, you should have an investment contract, employee contract, consultancy, commercial lease. So you're jumping into a startup, there are a number of agreements that you have to be aware of, and be legit, be sensible enough to sign the documents which you understand thoroughly. Otherwise, taking a second opinion before you go engaging with any other partners is recommended. So intellectual property, the basics, I will not explain what is intellectual property, what is the kind of intellectual properties, everybody knows. I'll skip this slide. What you have to know according to the Indian Patent Act for any idea to be patentable is it should have a basic requirements of three things. Slides are running through by its own. Wait. So it should have a novelty, inventive step, and industrial application, and it should also not fall under the section 3 and 4, which are not patentable as per the Indian Patent Act. Novel is, everybody knows, it should not be present anywhere in the world by any means of prior art. If you search, it should not be available. That's a simple basic understanding. Otherwise, you can have a detailed description as well. Inventive step is, yes, it is already available. There could be in similar cases, inventive steps are already available, but the current invention which I am bringing is an incremental invention. So you have to explain how your invention is in incremental inventive over the existing thing. Industrial application is that it should have a scalability and industrial applicability. Non-obviousness is tested by the skilled art person having a skilled art, which is the patent examiner. What are non-patentable? We will not dwell anything on this. Understanding anything working under the atomic energy or the defense sector, government owns like are not patentable. Anything which is falling under the moral or the sections what I have written under section 3D are also not patentable. I will not go what is a prior art versus public versus private. This will take time. We will go into the valuation sessions directly. So now let's go. We have an IP. How do you, what are the types of licensing that we can use in the IP or the option agreement, which is also, there is something called a safe equity, which you are not taking it, but you are taking it. It's a short-term agreement which gives the company the first right to enter the negotiation for the license for a given technology. Commercial evaluation agreement is that I am going for a commercial evaluation of my technology with a partner for a certain terms and conditions agreed upon, after which we will enter into the licensing agreement. Now, licensing agreement is a direct technology transfer agreement, which is kind of doing a transfer of technology from one entity to another entity through a licensing mode. Tangible research property licensing agreement is also like if you're talking about the cell lines, antibiotics, antibodies, or any other biological material NBA things, this is where we will be using this one. Intangible are the tacit, implicit, basic knowledge. When I'm saying tacit, implicit, basic knowledge are the knowledge which is acquired through the skills and which is known as a know-how, which could be a kind of trade secret. In short, it could be like a trade secret, but you are not registering it. It's a tacit knowledge. I'm transferring it as a know-how. I can do that as well to the company, and I'm also can do the equity licensing. This is like there is no transaction per se as a financial between both the entities. We agree that we are going to transfer my technology from one entity to the other, and in exchange, the other entity provides the equity. That is where we were seeing the equity share. What is the role of the equity when you open a company? That's where the equity comes in. So when you're doing a IP valuation is seriously a very big ocean. We cannot explain that not even in half an hour. It could take 2 days to learn about it. But for a general understanding of IP valuation is it is economic valuation, legal, and business. Altogether, what is the approach? In economic valuation, we can go for a cost approach, income and market. Legal valuation is in the sense when I'm dealing the things in terms of infringement, invalidation, IP due diligence, then in those places I will be doing the valuation context is very important, as I said. So if I'm doing a technology valuation for licensing, the approach would be different than I'm doing a technology valuation for a startup. So I'm a startup valuation is again different than I'm doing a technology valuation for a merchant acquisition. When I'm doing a merchant acquisition, the kind of valuation would be in the mode of business context. and competitors' intelligence context. So the context is more important. If you were to simply identify the commercialization of a technology, it would barely fall into the economics valuation. What we have to see assessment for the final valuation is what is the technology talking about. Switch off my. So the technology valuation, there are challenges as well. Evaluating any technology at a nascent nature requires a certain skill sets which is need to be acquired, and valuation at various stages. At an idea is valued at a type, and the same thing at a patent application, patent granted, proof of concept established, working in relevant environment, working in the market. I mean, it depends on the lesser the risk, higher the value, higher the risk, lesser the value at that point. Lesser the risk, lesser the, if you are having at a very basic stage like idea, the risk is very high, so the valuation will be very low. Now your idea has been translated into a intangible license agreement. I missed that comment. We will see in the end. So if it is at a proof of concept working in a relevant environment, the valuation will be at medium. But if it is proof of concept working completely into the industrial scale applicability, then the valuation will be high. So the three verticals which are very important for valuation is technology assessment, legal assessment, and market assessment. We will only see the headings. We will not go deep into what those assessments would be. When I'm talking about a legal assessment, it is just whether you have a patent application or not. Is it legally protected? Whether your idea is legally protected in India, in US, in China, whether you have a PCT, whether you have the application granted, file, whether you have an NBN clearance, whether you have the validity, what is the value of, what is the time of the patent which is valid, and is the form 27 active. We can see check through various means of the patent. When you talk about the technology, it is a lab scale. This is where the R&D team and the technology team should discuss. Legal things is both the legal parties can discuss to assess, and technology is the R&D team of the industry and the professor side of the institute, or else the startup has to engage in order to understand the technology readiness level. One thing which I haven't kept here is there is something called as technology readiness, commercial readiness, and market readiness, which has been given by the Indian government itself with a clear definitions. If you have a clear idea of what is technology, market, and commercial evaluation, then your technology would be, you can plan business strategies wherein your success rate of translating your technologies from one TRL to another is high, and the failure rates are low. And other is a market, what is the technology market size, what is the segmentation, what is the penetration power, whether it would be a technology push, technology pull, what is the market penetration studies, who are the end user, whether it is a B2B, B2C, and what are the pestle analysis, SWOT analysis, SWOT is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threat, likewise the pestle is there. So some market analysis has to be done. So when I'm talking about a valuation, it's not just a valuation that, okay, you bring me a technology, it is valued at X figure. The valuation is always in the context, whether I'm doing it for a licensing, whether I'm doing it for merger acquisition, whether I'm doing it for any other tax and other things. So it differs, and based on that, we have to assess. This is the one which I was talking about, the technology readiness level, the commercialization readiness level, and market readiness level. This has been proposed by the Niti Aayog, and this is one of the best books. You can read through it. It's called as TCRM Metrics Framework, validated against the value of death. So whatever you're seeing, the first value of death is the value of death at an institute level, where the technology will fail because it is not having the opportunity to go through it. This is the second value of a death, where the startups will fail because you cannot take the technology to a scale up level and maintain it throughout so that it will fail. And this book talks about very detailedly about how to assess the TRL, MRL, and CRL, and how to overcome, understand the gaps and overcome this one. So I'll give you an example, like at any given TRL level, the MRL and CRL points have to be noted down and jotted down to address those gaps and fill in those gaps. In those cases, it would be the one which I am showing here is an academic value of death, and second would be the value of death for the scalability. Either you could be at a startup level or at an institute, it is reflecting the same. So I guess we were already talked about the intellectual property, understanding the background, foreground, and the joint IPs. I guess I will skip this session a bit to see into the incubation policies. So what we will do is we'll quickly look into the incubation types, why it is important for any of the startups to be incubated. The reason is that there are many ministries in India, and each ministry has specific schemes dedicated towards the technology. Like biotechnology has biotech schemes, defense has defense, likewise electronics and information has separate schemes. You have to target, you have to identify the bio incubator, the incubators which are nurturing this technology, get registered, and that is where you can leverage your startups to grow high. So in biotechnology, Biorack Bionest is something which you can start with. Likewise, there are specific schemes, and it is very important for you to incubate your startup under a proper incubation so that you can get your hand holding both in terms of mentorship, both in terms of the equity and also in terms of what stage investment, like the venture capital investment, so be it on the going from one stage to another. So in IIT Madras, the reason that we are successful is that we do handhold and give support right from the idea till it is marketed. So this is a incubation entrepreneur ecosystem of IIT Madras that for the students, we have specific cells which would help them. We will fund the very early fund to the students. They come up with their idea and they can sit in this center for innovation. They can do all sort of, it's like an engineering lab where people explore to the core. So everything at a basics can be explored. If there is any idea, it would be pre-incubated and then it would go into the incubation. Incubation is where here you need not even have a startup. You can just have an idea. Here at pre-incubate, we'll give a startup formation. At incubate, we'll introduce them to the incubation cell who will handhold them to give the bigger funding and the support in terms of investment. And once then, IITM Research Park also supports greatly in terms of getting this into the internationalization. Like now our startups are also going into the IPO. So that is where we handhold them. These are few of the technology licensing that we have successfully done in the last 3 years in IIT Madras. There are many more. Each one can be one of the examples, and this does not only include biotechnology, engineering, but it includes all the departments of IIT Madras. So these technologies include medical, engineering, IT, and all social causes as well. This type can be imaged. A few examples that we can quote about is Zyma, which we have licensed this in 2022, and they are doing extremely well. This is a technology about the NDE, non-destructive evaluation, and they have won the best startup by the Indian government in last 2023 and took the award. Tripsol is one in the agri field. This is under the sanitary, this is under the septic tank cleaning robot. This also has gone. So we did a lot of technology transfers in the recent times. I would like to just stop. I will just show one thing on the reasons for failure to start up. These are two slides which I picked up from two different sources. What I would like to stress here before we close is, because it's already 45, people might think that it is lack of money that is the problem for the startups, but I'm with certain examples like which are falling down, so be it Byju's or any of the unicorns which are very big. It was never the money the problem. It was a lack of product fit to the market. It was a marketing problem. It was a team problem. Financial comes afterwards. This is another survey. Again, it says it's a market need. Understanding the market and understanding the market need is what is important. So, if you have a perception that my startup is failing because I don't have a fund, it is somewhere I might defer it. It can be a reason as well. But if you are right, if you have a knowledge, you can apply for the right funding, get the right source of schemes, and you can grow very prosperously. VC funds are very much having, now that Shark Tank se leke kahin pe bhi, we are having a lot of VC funds being given to the people. So the funding is more. It's only about understanding the market, understanding the feasibility of the market, and the product fit is more important. I think with this we will stop it and we will take the questions as per the agenda at the end, I guess.
Thank you, Dr. Dara. I think excellent session, excellent piece of information, and I think already see the comments appreciating your inputs and of course seeking out your expertise. So thank you. I think this is very helpful. We'll take the questions towards the end.
Yes, please.
So our second distinguished speaker is Professor Avinash Kumar. He's the head of IPR cell at Sharda University, Greater Noida. Professor Kumar has retired as Associate Director of IPR at DRDO, New Delhi, after 21 years of service, significantly contributing to the culture of IPR culture at DRDO. He has also worked with the Patent Office Delhi, HAL, and IRDE Dehradun. With an MSc in Physics from BHU and MTech in Applied Optics from IIT Delhi, Professor Kumar has 25 years of experience in IPR, including national and international innovation systems. He's a frequent speaker at IPR seminars and workshops and has served on various prestigious committees. So please join me in welcoming Professor Avinash Kumar. Professor Avinash, over to you. Look forward to hear your insights.
Thanks, Dr. Nitin Sharma, for your kind words, and thanks, Ms. Parul and SHM for providing this platform to me to share whatever I know about this subject. And I understand, of course, my first speaker, thank you, the first speaker, because he has covered the topic in a big detail. Of course, so basically, I will be sharing some practical experience. Okay, and I'll be focusing the issues which a startup and MSME industries faces. You see, I am from Sharda University, and we have close connection with the industry, particularly MSME industry. We have connection with the MSME Ministry of MSME also. We have conducted workshop for MSME industries. So basically, when we talk about the startup and MSME, their ecosystem pertaining to the IPR and technology transfer, the first problem is that lack of resources. When I say lack of resources, means they can't afford to have a very competent IPR cell and technology transfer cell to take care of their IPR or technology transfer. So they have to have some kind of interface either with the government agency in the form of IPFC. For example, MSME has opened, Ministry of MSME has opened many intellectual property facilitation centers in various universities, CII, FICCI. So those agencies are providing some requisite help to the MSME industry. Basically, when we talk about the startup, it may be some business process centering or technology centering. So if it is a business process centering, maybe the IPR issues will be different. For technology centric startup, the issues will be different. But what will be common for any startup, that the speed is very essential. If they don't act with the speed, then there could be problem. Now, similarly for MSME, when we say MSME, you see, they are a bit different. What should I say? The ecosystem is different from that of startup. But still, I do feel that they also require some kind of hand-holding as far as IPR and technology transfer is concerned. I'm talking about the practical issues. Now, as far as the startup is concerned, let me tell you, if it is a business centric or technology centric, there are certain things which could be done by them, should be done very easily. You see, patent is something, let me tell you, it's very easy to get a patent, but how to enforce it, how to license it. Yes, if it is technology centric, no doubt they cannot ignore the patent, they cannot ignore filing patent, they cannot ignore licensing, etc. Of course, those things are there, but there are certain simple things which they can do from day one. That is, why not register for some trademark? This is much easier to register a trademark. Why not take the documentation, day-to-day documentation very seriously? Why not maintain the logbook of all the activities? Why not maintain the know-how, need to know basis? Even if it's a startup, there are 3, 4 people, or MSME, there are 100 people or 50 people. See, it should not be an open organization. If something is being created, why not keep it secret, confidential, so that it is not that licensing is done only through patent. Unless until you have a patent, you can't license it. No, that is not true. You can license your trademark, you can license your know-how, and you can earn money out of that also. Basically, I am focusing on the simpler things which a startup can easily do, even for the MSME. For MSME, know-how becomes very important. You see, patent is important, but let me tell you, it's very easy to talk about IP valuation, patent valuation, and all those things. But how many organizations really rigorously carry out IP valuation before licensing it? Very difficult. Let me tell you, I have interacted with many IP resource persons from top corporate organizations. It's very difficult to put a right value on any uh, patent. But yes, uh, know-how is something which is very important, provided it is kept confidential when it is being created in any MSME or any startup. And let me tell you, as far as the technology transfer is concerned, it can spring many surprises. I will just give 2 examples. When I was in DRDO, you see, there was a practical problem posed to us by the army. You see, army is in high altitude regions also, say Siachen. Now, Siachen temperature is -30 to -40. Everybody knows about this. Now, what was the practical problem? Practical problem is that the human waste doesn't degrade. Now, the human waste is not degrading in -30, -40 degrees centigrade. It creates problem. The waste will go into the water bodies, and it could create some other, undesirable effects. Now, it so happened one of our scientists has gone to Antarctica, and he has found out that some macroorganisms are active even -30, -40 degrees centigrade. So he said, okay, we will put this macroorganism, or rather, what should I say, some consortium of macroorganisms beneath the toilet seat, and it will degrade the human waste. You see, that was the idea. And then, because there was a problem, there was already a problem posed to us. And when the scientists started thinking about the solution, that was the solution, that bright idea came to the scientists. Now, when they approached us, I was in the DRDO headquarters, IPR cell. I was wondering how many biodigester will be made for, this biodigester will be put beneath the toilet seat in Siachen, maybe 8, 10, 20, not more than that. So was there any sense in filing patent application? Anyway, scientist was enthusiastic. I also say, okay, let us file a patent application. We filed a patent application. Now, you see, this problem was solved, and somehow our scientists got to interact with the officials of Ministry of Railway. Now, I do not know participants whether they have observed it or not. I'm talking about 6, 7 years back. In the railway coaches, the human waste was, solid waste was being thrown on the railway track. That was the situation 7, 8 years back. So it was thought of, why not put this bioregister in every railway coach beneath the toilet seat. Now, see, the solution was given for a particular situation in Siachen. We never imagined when filing patent application and when the idea came to the scientists that it could be used in an altogether different scenario. Okay, nobody thought about it. I'm talking about the surprises this technology can bring. Now, it was put in the, and I still remember in Gwalior, in some coaches it was put, it was successful. And then today, let me tell you, no railway coach will come out of manufacturing unit without having a biodigester in its toilet. And I do not know whether we have observed or not, nowadays, no solid waste will be thrown on the railway tracks. What comes out is only water because of the microorganism. Now, coming to the beauty of the technology, why it was so much successful. Number one, of course, use, social use, whatever you say. But then simplicity of the technology. No complexity, no big know-how. Only you have to have some kind of a chamber which is to be put beneath the toilet seat, and that chamber should have consortium of macroorganism. And the beauty of microorganism that it will regenerate itself. So no need to further replenish or again add microorganism. No. And then, so the simple technology, chance for mass use, repeatability, and as of now, let me tell you, there are 20 to more than 25 licensees making this biodigester. So the lesson number one, you cannot say, you cannot anticipate in advance that whatever is being invented in the lab, what would be the use in the real world. It may fail also. I have seen even the complex technologies being invented and miserably failing in the market. And the simpler technology making mass usage. This, you see, we always say simpler the technology, easier to replicate. And when it is easier to replicate, the chances of success is more. So don't be under any this kind of notion that unless until I invent something very complex and breakthrough, it will not succeed in the market. No, that notion you must. You see, the toothbrush, there are hundreds of patents. And I was surprised. I was doing some kind of what should I say, for my class. I was preparing my lecture, and see, the rubber means eraser. See, rubber could have different connotation in different nations. You see, the eraser being put on the back of the pencil. So I was wondering how many. I was just curious about the number. There are hundreds of patents on the eraser being put on back of the pencil. I mean, with one unit, you can write it and erase it also. Now, I thought maybe one or two patents. What is so great? But when I started dissecting the patent documents, I was surprised. Even a minor incremental innovation, which is novel, non-obvious, useful, could be patented and could be put in the market. So that is lesson number one. I'm talking about the startup and MSME. Don't think that if you are not dealing in the complex technology, you have no future in the market. No, sir. In fact, the reality is quite reverse. And it is very, very relevant, important lesson for the startup and MSME. Please do not think that you are not, no. Why? And MSME is very important. You see, the GDP of the country, they contribute maximum employment generation and GDP. So it's very, very important. So that is lesson number one. Second example I will give, when I joined Sharda University, it was a Corona time. The worst period was over, but still. So Sharda University, let me tell you briefly, it has 14 schools, including medical college. We have medical students also, allied health, and then we have School of Engineering, School of Sciences. So interdisciplinary work scope is tremendous. Now, what happened in the Corona time, one of the surgeon from our medical college collaborated with the professor of allied health, and he said, why not make disposable surgical instrument? Because in the Corona time, it was very important that you see all the time you have to people were scared that the infection and other person will pass on to other person, corona infected person. That problem was there. So they thought of why not work on disposable micro ear surgical tools. Okay, wonderful. We filed patent application. It was disposable, single use. That was the objective. Now what happened subsequently? Now here is the problem, because the microsurgical instruments are invasive in nature. So you can't have choose any material. So the idea was good initially that we should invent, or you should manufacture or market microsurgical instruments which are disposable and multi-use also. One unit will act as a cannula also and surgical instrument also. That was also there. So there were four items in the surgical toolbox. Okay. So we approached NRDC. See, NRDC, there are many, see, nowadays there are tremendous support from various government agencies, NRDC, DST, DBT, MSME. You just have to knock at their door. You will get the help. So we approached NRDC. NRDC gave 2 lakhs grant for prototyping, because you see, for MSME and startup, this even prototyping is a big task, let me tell you, in for the university. So 2 lakhs grant were given. So we one set up microsurgical disposable was made, instrument was made. Now the problem is, unless until it is made in multiple pieces, how can you approach the hospitals and how can you get the feedback? Now here you see, for the biodigester, there was no regulatory issue, no regulatory issues. But microsurgical instrument, lot of regulatory issues. So you cannot use any material. Material has to be some standard material which could be used in a human beings. So that is number one. Number two, since it is used as a surgical instrument, unless until there is feedback from the hospitals, you cannot, no licensee will touch your invention. So we again approached MSME. Some grant was given, 10 lakhs, 11 lakhs, and inventor also put in 1 lakh from his own pocket. And we were successful in having 7 to 8 set of macrosurgical instrument. Now the next step is, we are in the process of next step. We have circulated to various hospitals and we are approaching licensee also. Hopefully we'll finalize. But the lesson number 2, that here, although it is not a very complex thing, but you should be aware about the regulatory issues right from the very beginning. So these are the 2 important points I wanted to highlight that in this webinar, that technology can bring surprises, and simpler the technology, better. And then don't think about the complex thing. Start with the simple steps. What? Take a trademark protection, register your website. I give you another example. You see, take the this thing. I should not name of the company. Say XYZ company making some herbal medicine useful for digestion, etc. Whatever it is. Now imagine there is a whole broad spectrum of IPR instruments through which you can protect the simple item, bundling of IP, we call it. The what should I say, herbal things which could be put in the market, helps in digestion, like Dabur Ingoli. Now imagine, before putting it in the market, what are the avenues through which you can protect it, legally protect it? Number one, you can protect the bottle itself, bottle through which it is being sold in the market. Take a design protection. Okay, take the design protection about the shape of the bottle. 15 years it is locked, and it is very, very important. Let me tell you, design is very, very important for practical situation, because it is very easy to convince a judge that the infringing item, the defendant item is infringing my thing. It's a visual impact. Visual impact is immediate. They say, yes, stop it. Injunction will be given. In order to convince the judge about the infringement of a patent, it will take a lot of time. Anyway, I will not go in detail. So design protection, you take the appearance of the bottle. Now, the second thing, the name of the item, like Dabur Ingoli, take a trademark protection. Shape of the this thing capsule also, you can take a trademark protection. You see, Viagra tablet is trademark protection, diamond shape, trademark protection. Now the wrapper around the bottle, take a copyright protection. What is the harm? Simplest, take a copyright protection. In fact, you need not approach even copyright office. Just have a first thing, the wrapper, take a copyright protection. And the most important, what goes inside making the capsule, the ingredients, the percentage of ingredients, which gives a particular taste which the consumer likes. Take a trade secret protection. Of course, there is no registrable trade secret protection, but keep it in confidence. Keep it confidential, like Coca-Cola formula. I don't know. The myth is that only 3 people know. I don't know the actual story, but the myth is only 3 people know about this. It is in a lock and key arrangement that they are not allowed to travel together. I don't know, but the myth is there. So why not take it? No protection. You see, at the end of the my presentation or talk, I will don't get deterred from the complexity of, let me tell you, IPR technology transfer is a very, very complex thing. I have seen technology transfer agreement, 4 pages also. It serves the purpose, let me tell you. 4-page technology transfer agreement will serve the purpose. And I have seen technology transfer agreement running into 100 pages, quite a piece of literature. In fact, even the TT people will take time to decipher what is the real intent of the licensor and licensee. That also serves the purpose. But as far as the startup and MSME is concerned, please don't get deterred. Don't get frightened. The complexity of very simple. Make things simpler. Take simple steps. If once you build up in phases, then it becomes easier for to start. But there are certain things. Keep everything documentation, keep it confidential, need to know basis. That is the first step. Take a trademark protection for your company's name, item name, take a website, register your website. That is the first thing, register your website. And once you are going to do that, maybe the next complexity will come in the next stage. With that, thank you. I think, thank you, Dr. Nitin. Thank you, Parul.
Thank you, Sir Vinash. I think excellent, very simple. In a simple way, you have conveyed the essence of how to go about it. And I think simplicity is the key. I think simple is powerful. So with that, we'll move to our next speaker, Dr. Sundaram Sheshadri. He's a TPI advisor for startup relations at Satyabhama Technology Business Incubator at Satyabhama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. Dr. Sheshadri is a seasoned leader in science, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. He coordinates the technology business incubator at Satyabhama University and advises on life sciences at Sri Murugappa Chittiar Research Center. He also serves as an honorary secretary and executive director of the Indigenous Frontier Technology Research Center. He's a co-founder of several startups and held various prestigious positions, including principal scientist and director at MCRC. Got 30 years of experience and has guided numerous students, publishing over 80 research papers. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sundaram. Over to you, Dr. Sundaram. Looking forward to hear your thoughts.
And Mr. Nitin, I may have to leave because of some reason. Okay, please excuse us, the next panelist. Okay, and thank you for SHM for providing the opportunity. Thank you, Nitin. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Professor Avinash. So thank you, Mr. Nitin, Parul, and the SHM for giving us the opportunity. I hope I am audible. And I'm also thankful to both the speakers who spoke before me, who gave a lot of insights about, we must thank Dr. Dara for giving a very comprehensive understanding about the startups, and also Professor Avinash Kumar for giving very anecdotal experiences, what he had in his early past life and in the present position. The thing is, 2 things come to my mind when Professor Avinash was talking about. The one thing is reading in between the lines. This first thing, and second thing is something like signing an agreement in the mutual fund agreement, whatever, whenever you buy, right? So we never read things, but we sign all the pages, whatever given, 10 to 15 pages given to us, and finally we end up getting a lot of other troubles later. That is a different story. I don't want to go into that. But coming to our discussions,
The other thing, he was also talking about register website. Very interestingly, the latest development yesterday, a day for yesterday, today it is happening. Yeah, app developer from Delhi is now sitting with the Reliance talking about geohotstar.com, something like that, and demanding 93,345 pounds from Reliance, and Reliance is now contesting in the court for the trademark of using the Reliance trademark in his website development, all these things. So these are all some of the developments happening in terms of whatever we call it as technology, intellectual property, or technology commercialization, or technology development, or technology infringement, or whatever we call it as. But before much ado, without much ado, I want to go to my presentation slides also. I will go with this. If it is visible, please try to say
Yes,
yes.
it's
If it is, yeah, that is fine. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you all for this thing. And if you go to this, the first, the title I have chosen for this, I will not take much time. First thing, I just want to make it really clear. I have only 20 slides to go. I'll finish very fast. And proprietary knowledge and indispensable tool for empowerment and future of startups and MSMEs. Purely because in the other life, we are talking, I mean, apart from what we do on a day-to-day basis, we are also talking to many people from startup ecosystem and also the MSME ecosystem, and trying to find out what exactly they do. And most of the time, they're all carried by the wind, and they don't have enough time to even think it over what exactly they are doing today, or they want to do tomorrow, or something like that, or even they don't want to follow some of the kind of tenets of the startup ecosystem. One of the tenets are the rules or regulations prescribed for the startups or MSMEs per se, I would say. So this I have seen practically whenever we're visiting this, even as part of the TIFAC Academic Partnership Program. We had a wonderful opportunity visiting many industrial estates working in different ecosystem. I'll come to that later. But all this gave us a lot of interesting insights how we can go forward. The first thing, the recent information from RBI governor that India is poised to become the most vibrant country in the world as part of the Viksit Bharat, which our Prime Minister envisages, right? Try to take that to a large scale level, 1.4 lakh startups in the Indian ecosystem. And next, if you see, we have around 111 unicorns, talking about 350 billion combined valuation, and also talking about the country's viable economic ability to nurture high number of companies across various sectors, nurturing the ecosystem. And then it also talks about democratization of entrepreneurship, that is helping the startup ecosystem moving from tier 1 to tier 2, tier 3, and all other area cities and other institutions also. We know how this incubators also spread now. So coming to this, if you see this, the initiatives contributing to India's improved standing in global innovation index. India is standing very nicely, almost in the 40s, right, in the innovation index. If we can very well, attribute all these things only because of all these developments happening from the government support system. All these things I taken from Manpreet Badal recently. This is also a write-up appeared in Indian Express. Of course, these are the 5 points he highlighted. I just want to read out to you people, that's all. The robust innovation ecosystem we all witness in all the universities, incubators, and also the corporates and other business arena, or even the business associations also talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, all these areas. The next one is the governmental initiatives. We will come to that later also, and the policies associated with the kind of government initiatives, and also the policies associated the schemes and programs rolled out by government to support more number of technology based or also MSMEs or startups to come up, spring up very fast in the country. The fourth one is domestic industry driven diversification, patent origination, and the export of cultural creative services. Means India is already almost for 20 years seen as a hub for IT and the other related activities. Now India is also moving towards other sectors like engineering, production, because government also talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So I'm trying to set the context here to tell why. The next slide will give you a little more information about this technology commercialization, IP, all these things also, right? And the last one is the highest innovation quality, that is of course shown by the university ecosystems, where almost there's a big rush for submitting a lot of intellectual property patents and also designs, trademarks, whatever we call it as, right? Even allied to this, we can also, even one of the earlier videos I have seen talking about this TSIs, this Technology Innovation and Support Centers and MSME Development Act by the Government of India. Next is SIP, Startup Intellectual Property Protection, the SIP program, and Startup India initiatives, the National IPR policy rolled out in 2016. All these things adds to the development or the kind of grooming of the ecosystem conducive for all people to think why technology commercialization is also important. You can see this in 10 years. This is from 2008. You see 83,000 patents filed. That's growth seen in 24.6%. And you can see this. This is also from the open ecosystem. Most of the slides are from open ecosystem only. You can see the kind of development happening in terms of technology patenting. You can see the Indian deep tech companies has filed more than 922 patents since 2008. That means, again, next slide will give a little more information about which area that is doing well here. If you see the Chennai Patent Office is standing. Sorry, there is some issue. You can see this. The development happening, you can see here, the funding aspirants, investors in USA give more weightage to patents, making it an added advantage. So this is an important message that everybody should get and keep that in mind before when they talk about technology commercialization. So the technology protection or knowledge protection or the patentability, whatever we call it as, has to be there inbuilt in all startups. And also the MSMEs also, MSMEs, they are very poor in terms of technology, commercialization, patenting, adoption or even retrofitting, whatever we call it as. But here it requires some sort of new thought process to be imbibed in the minds of the MSMEs also to go to the next level. And next, if you see 83,000 patents, you can see this, the number of patents filed and number of patents granted over a period of years. There's a wonderful development happening. And this gives you a little more information. About 70% of Indian origin patents filed by deep tech startups are from Chennai Patent Office focused on AI healthcare. That means there is a big push happening in this area. And this big push also has something to do with the kind of companies present in the particular ecosystem driving the entire patents. So it is not only India patent, it also talks about the patent across the world, global patents, when the PCT or something like that, whatever we call it as, right? It happened in those days, right? The global. And this another small read in between the lines, this is also important. The minister has clearly said, Piyush Goyal has clearly said, there has been a significant push to reduce criminalization of laws regarding business in India. So this is very much important for one to really take into mind. So if you go to, I'm just giving you some simple anecdotal example. If you go to any industrial estates, you can see a lot of ancillary industries working on the same lines using the same kind of machines. Only those companies really have an edge to do something differently. Will get more number of orders than the other one getting regular number of orders. So the most of the time I have seen R&D based industries, all those industries having more number of patents always win the game than the regular companies getting a lot of orders. So this is quite common everywhere across the country. But here, this use of technology acquisition models or your technology, using the proper well-oiled route to get your technology and using the kind of machineries, using the kind of, because I'll give you some example also. When our team visited an industrial estate somewhere closer to Bangalore, they were telling that they are finding difficulty in using the licensed softwares which are not available at affordable cost. And for that, they were asking for technology facilitation centers or common facilitation centers to be set up by Government of India by infusing good amount of money. So that means now there is a big push from our big ask from the industry, small, micro, tiny industries also to use the licensed softwares for their operations, or even coming up with new dies or products or something that will be of help to them, right? So next, if you see the number of patents grown up purely because the fee concessions given by, the policy, one is the policy, national IPR policy associated with fee concessions for patents given by Government of India for the startups and MSMEs and education institutions. This also gives a big push for them. I don't want to read the numbers, but I'm just giving you the example. And coming to this MSMEs, the MSMEs still play a very big role in adding the gross value added numbers to the country's export as well as internal production. You can see on the right side, this talks about the exports. 2024-25 still it is not finished. You can see still 45.79% of share of export MS related products are from Indian MSMEs. That means there is a big requirement for these people also to talk about that, because nowadays you can see a lot of products are being even shunted back to the country only because of many other reasons, even the cosmetics to even engineering, products to many other things. If they are coming back, it also talks about the infringement in terms of technologies or licenses or designs or other kind of services, right? So coming to this is another area that, of course, MSMEs also the numbers are growing. This is just a number I just want to tell you people. Coming to the title, proprietary knowledge. It talks about the exclusive knowledge data already given by Dr. Dara and Professor Avinash Kumar. Still, I don't want to read, but for the understanding of the people here, this talks about the exclusive knowledge. This is more important. So we have to slowly move from this proprietary or the kind of old start thinking to new thought processes, how we can move from the trade secret or the kind of things to the open source. Instead of going for open to proprietary to intellectual property area. So how slowly the MSMEs, India has more than 4 crore MSMEs now registered with the government of India. So of course, if you see, not even 1% will be part of this intellectual property game or something like that. I would say, if I am right, if you ask me, right? So even that 1% acquires or adopts this intellectual property rules for the entire country to export more number of products to other countries, or even play with other international companies, seamlessly take their products with them to be their long-term partners in their developmental process, right? And of course, we know all these things. I don't want to repeat again. Even the video, the first also gave all these things. But one has to, as a company, it is not only the technology, and more than technology, the copyrights, patents, trademarks, trade secrets, designs, GIs, and even plant varieties, all part of the technology or the intellectual property. This we have to, everyone has to keep this in mind. Even there, one of the examples, this website example of Geo Hotstar is also a new thing that we can understand. There are a lot of examples about this design. Even Professor Avinash Kumar also talking about that. We know very interestingly, recently there was a verdict on the company which was using the same green color, right? Cream, almost equal to Borderline. This is a very interesting case. One can go and get in more information about this from the open source also. And the only thing that differentiated Borderline is the green color tube with the kind of, the tapering cap of the tube, and not the product inside the tube. The product inside the tube almost similar to whatever sold by many companies in many part of the world, but the design also plays a major role in this. I'm not going much deeper into this, but of course, okay, coming to this is more important. What are all the advantage of this? So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas. I don't read this, but the more advantage comes from the protection of innovation. Always help this MSMEs to go to that, get that extra mile. That is one thing, safeguarding their competitive edge, even talking to the bigger companies, or tomorrow they want to grow bigger also, that will be of help. And second one, this also encourages innovation in the MSMEs also. Most of the time MSMEs don't give much importance. That's why I'm talking about this. This requires a lot of patience and also involvement by the management and also the first line, second line managers, or most of the MSMEs always are driven by one single person. It's not a one person company per se, but it's a one man driven organization. But that person's passion always drives the company. But if that person really inclined towards, because we are also talking on the other side about to many people, most of the people don't have time to juggle with technology, versus getting orders, to sending the right products and also packaging and dealing with the banks, getting the OD, and all these things also play a major role in this individual's life. And most of them always shy away going and talking to the experts or domain experts or the kind of external agencies who can support them in many of these areas. So this requires some sort of sea change in the mindset of those people who really running this MSMEs. Of course, startups, the speakers before me talked a lot, but still I would say even the startups also, whenever we evaluate the proposals coming from Startup India, of course, I had the privilege of at least evaluating 400, 500 startups. I could see at least out of 400, 20 to 25 companies talking about good technologies. Otherwise, most of them come with the, I mean, it's a kind of routine ideas or the kind of same kind of thought processes or the proposals written by somebody, submitted by somebody, and people looking for money, something like that. It's happening. So this also has to change. Only if those changes happening, their system also will be of help to them. The second one is this also helps them to position their market and also brand. And third one is this will also give them a lot of opportunities to attract good amount of investments, because as my previous speakers told, money is not a deterrent now. Many venture capitals and even high net worth individuals and angels are waiting for good opportunities, good ideas, good teams, good people, and good balance sheet. All these things are expected by the invention ecosystem. So the scaling up also goes much easier if the slate is very clean for those people. The fourth one is risk mitigation. Always this IP always help them to have an edge over others to go and present their case very nicely and also avoid litigation, and even forthrightly go and ask for their supremacy in many of the areas where they are always going to compete with other people. The next one is international expansion. Also helps them to move out of the country also. I can give you a very simple example of one small, I don't want to name the company, of course, that also gave, I mean, wonderful opportunity for the inventor, the person who has utilized that, and also who has invested. And this happened almost 20 years back in Chennai only. Of course, Dr. Dara is there. He may also find out who that is. Then 2005, when Lemonson Recognition Mentoring Foundation was in Lel RAM program was running in 2005, 2006. As one of the evaluators and some of our friends were running that, there we could see a lot of new ideas coming up. One of the ideas was a simple burner that came for the kind of idea. One person, Tyagarajan, came up with a simple burner that was acquired by another company and that was invested by one of the leading investors, those times social entrepreneurship investors. I mean, right? And that investor got 23 times more money than they invested, and the company was happy, and even the inventor was also happy to transfer the technology and work in the company. There are so many examples like this. Even there was a company in Pune which was working mostly on the pigment production that was acquired by a larger corporate, and the person became a CEO, and they were running the company together, and finally it was fully acquired by this. Some umpty number of examples we can talk about. And finally, even getting this licensing and franchising also another opportunity for one to really look into, so that tomorrow no need to worry about you competing with others, right? Of course, two more slides. I try to finish quickly. And the other one is challenge is always seen here is the lack of awareness among the MSME people. Always this is the biggest case everywhere. Nobody knows where to start and how to start and who will start and who will help them. All the areas. The resource constraints, of course, financial limitation is talked about there, but it is not a financial limitation. It is the allocation of time by these MSME people to go and talk to the right kind of people, even though they have a lot of associations. Those associations are also not helping them to get that kind of real support from the agencies. I mean, the who is who kind of people to help them. The next one is complex legal processes. Now, Professor Avinash Kumar said there are agencies who can help them. The last one is cultural attitudes, that prevalence of copying and lack of respect for IP in some sectors. So this is the one that is pulling down always the MSMEs. So this requires to be addressed by the respective agencies. And of course, ministry is addressing a lot. So this has to be, I mean, addressed by the MSME owners themselves, who come into kind of awareness and all areas. So this is another area. Most of the time what happens, the startups and MSMEs, whenever they evaluate, they try to talk about only tools, data, and expertise. They forget to talk about the unpredictable areas. We call it as hubris, right? Always these people say, I am the best person, I am the greatest person. It's a kind of He-Man kind of thing. But always they try to see a small spark coming from the other side, talking about the unpredictable factors which can play a major role in evaluation. I don't want to talk all these things, but of course you can see the book value or it's not something equal to valuation may not. The valuations, real valuation will not be equal to the book value of the company unless otherwise they try to address the influencing factor on the left side when listed. So I don't want to read all these things, but of course investors consideration are also something different that includes the regulatory risk and opportunities, seeking professional advice, and also the management vision, execution, all these things, right? So coming to the Satyabama, here I'm President Satyabama Technology Business Incubator here. You can see the kind of, startup supported by Satyabama. You can see the percentage of the companies there, medical devices to food technology, health. Of course, you can see almost all these things. And the startup, this is another development. Down the line, the startups, this is something to do with helping the students to become startup owners. So this is the idea we started a few years back. Internally, we have to nurture the talent also to grow as entrepreneurs. So here, this idea really worked out also to us to support as many number of teams as possible to come up with at least 4 patented products over a period of 5 years. So it is not that easy for you to convert the student teams to come to the level of workable patent. This is a more important thing. And here we deliberately brought in the student teams as well as 2 faculty members to be part of this team so that these faculties, even the students move out. The faculties address this regularly and come up with a product. This is where we got 2 or 3 products coming up, and there are 15 registered entities now. And of course, these are all the money got from these people. And I see a big opportunity for technology commercialization IP in this area also. This is a new scheme rolled out by government. Of course, it's less than 1 year, right? But still, it has a lot of opportunities India will see in the future. And these are some of the strategies MSMEs have to really consider working on. The first thing, they should have a plan or strategy to have IP in their portfolio. This is very much important. The second thing, always there should be a craving for educating and training themselves to become, right, technology savvy or IP savvy kind of organizations. And third one is they should be open to go and talk to people outside ecosystem to take the professional advice, because even there are 2 different areas I am also associating with the entrepreneurship. One is the technology, other one is general entrepreneurship. In the general entrepreneurship area, most of the time people come with the kind of ideas and also the budget and balance sheet and also proposal talking about 1 crore, 2 crore, even 50 lakhs, I would say. But when we go deeper, discuss with them and spend hours of time, you will see the 50 lakhs coming down to 5 lakhs or 10 lakh rupees, or 1 crore coming down to 10 lakh rupees. So that means most of the time people don't really talk really about their ideas and also consult people. That is more important. I relate that to IP also here. And another one is the managing the cost, and finally understanding the international treaties about how, why they should also move out of the country also to expand their operations. So I think this is the last slide. Of course, thank you so much. There are a lot of examples I can give, but considering time, I'm stopping here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sundaram. Excellent piece of information, and very happy to see the kind of innovation that's being supported at the Institute. So moving forward, I know we are a little out of time, but I guess we still have great speaker. So moving on, changing gears, we have startup speakers from startups. So we have Mr. Vel Murugan, who is co-founder and CEO of Vivido Bots. Mr. Velu Murugan is a creative electrical engineer and with a demonstrated history of working in industrial automation-based startups. So skilled in basic AC and DC drive processes and control for automation. He's a Master of Engineering in the stream of solar energy from College of Engineering Gwindi, Anna University, and he has worked in Aeronautical Development Agency at Ministry of Defense. So I would like to hand it over to you, Mr. Murugan, and I hope we will be joined by Mr. Dinesh Babu as we go along. But over to you, Mr. Murugan, and would like to hear your experience in how you have been dealing with IP. We've been talking about startups, but hearing from startups would be wonderful. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks for the wonderful opportunity. Dinesh also joined with us, and he will cope with the slides now. Just a second, sir.
So to all the participants, we know you've been patiently waiting, but I guess we'll be coming to questions very shortly. And thanks all the other panelists also to staying a little over. Thank you. So let's try to finish it in 10 minutes, Mr. Murugan, and then we leave a few minutes for Q&A.
Yeah, sir, that's fine. That everybody can see my slides.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. First of all, this is myself, Vel Murugan from VivoBots Private Limited. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of VivoBots Private Limited. And what we are doing at VivoBots actually, so we are developing safe vertical machines to do the safe vertical operations. Like first thing is like Vibrant Q. It's a fully automated painting bot, so which can paint the high-rise buildings of more than four floors. And the another product which we are developing is like Viper Q. It's a facade cleaning machines for the high-rise buildings which has glass panels and ACP coated panels. So these are the things which we are doing at VivoBots as of now, as a first product. And the thing I'm going to explain is like intellectual property owned by VivoBots, or like first one is the process patent for the Vibrant Q version 1. That's a patent which we have applied. And the second one is like we just applied for a trademark for the Vibrant Q also, and the logo for our VivoBots. So we just already started protecting our VivoBots logo and our Vibrant Q also. So actually the thing is like how we just a second, sir. So why we actually need to what are the things required for protecting our thing is like requirement for the IP registration is like first thing which will be help for us is like DPIIT certification, which will be provided by the Startup India. So how it help for us is like actually the amount.
Murugan, I
Yes,
guess
sir.
your slides are not moving. It's only on the one slide.
No,
You're
sir.
trying to show your registration and other details. We can't see it. Just check.
No. Actually, I'm just explaining it in a single slide itself, sir.
Okay.
I haven't mentioned much things because it will be helpful for them to
Okay. Go
listen.
ahead.
Yeah. So the thing is like how the things will be help us in IP registration is like first thing is like Startup India registration. With that, we just got the DPIIT recognition also. From that, we just started doing our patent, applying our patent. They just allocated a patent attorney from their side. So we just need only to pay charges for the filing charges alone. No need to pay the further things, other things. So the patent attorney will be just taking up the things from government itself. So which will be very much helpful for us because we won't spend more money on the filing the patents, because this one is a major one for everyone to do the patent filing. Then the next thing I'm just going to express is like the first thing is like for if the persons are like a proprietary based company, so for them also MSME will be providing almost about some 3 lakhs for the patent filing alone, for a single patent registration alone. So for that also they are supporting from the government side itself. So which will be very much helpful for any kind of startups which will be um, not only on a common DPIIT recognized startup, which will be MSME based startups also will be getting the subsidies from their side. So the next thing I'm going to express is like first thing, the journey, it's not only depends upon the product revenue cannot only depends on the IPR or tech transfer. We can directly make a product and we can directly start generating the revenue. But the thing which will be differs is like if we have any IP or patents means, so nobody can steal our idea or nobody can steal our product. It's a protective one. For example, you can take up the McDonald's. So they also have some good product or good idea, business idea, but they couldn't they haven't patented initially. So once some marketing person from their side, they just patented the McDonald's they just trademarked the McDonald's, and they just started acquiring their business. The actual business mastermind was from some other person, but it was easily captured by another person with the help of this trademark. So we should not provide any shortcut to anyone to steal our idea or steal our things. So for protecting that, IPR is the major one for just creating our products and protecting our products for revenue generation, because the ultimate aim is just generating the revenue only. So if I don't have any idea to make us create a company, but I have something to do, I have an idea, so it has to be commercialized. If it, in the sense, we can do another process also, it is called a tech transfer. So through tech transfer also we can commercialize our products, so which is another method. So with the tech transfer we can just create a product, and we can just apply for IP, and we can just sell that IP to some other companies. Let them just um, commercialize the products. So what we will get from that is like royalty. So royalty is also one of the revenue generation for any persons. So why do a startup need IPR? The first major thing is like competitive advantage. It will provide some add-on advantage for us, and the IP which we registered, which it will not belongs to a single person. It's actually we have to register uh, through the company's name alone. So if any persons are trying to have some controversies or anything, they can't do anything with the product without any IP, because the IP actually owned by the company only. So which it won't create any it won't downgrade any reputation of the company. So whatever the internal politics happens, nobody can just create any controversies of the company. So which will be better to register the IP in the name of company. It will be better for everyone's life. And the next one is market credibility. And also the the major thing is like it will attract the investors, because some, if I have some innovative solution, so I have also applied for patent, and I have received the publications of the patent. So if I'm going to approach any investors, so it will also add an advantage for the product, because the product is like properly secured, so nobody can copy our product. So which is a, if the product seems to be very much new, innovative, and it can generate more revenue, means the investors will easily attract towards the product, and they will easily like get convinced, and they will invest on the companies. So that's our major one. And also it will provide protection for our innovation. So then the last one is like partnership. So partnership and collaboration, which will be very much helpful for the getting partnership and collaboration for the technology transfers also in the another side. Then the next one is a role of technology transfer. As I have already said, like I have an idea, but I don't have idea to create an own entity or own company, and to make the product to commercialize, but it has to be get commercialized. So the another way to commercialize an innovation is like technology transfer. Like it will be very much if I got any IP, so it will be very much easy to access for the innovation. So and another thing is like the major one is it not only on the person who will be having the idea to commercialize the product, but they don't have interest on creating a company, but also a company already have so much of so much of process together to create a single output, but they don't have proper tech support to create everything in a single one. So they can just approach some other company, they have some already have some technologies which will be which will be easily collaborate with us, and it can create some better improved product, in the sense they can have some agreement, and they can just have a technology transfer between them. So which will be very much easy to access for the innovation in a better way. And another thing is it's very much cost efficient, since if every process need to be done by a single company itself, which may create more expenditure on the employees or technology development. So if some technologies already exist in market, means we can just acquire them through technology transfer. in an efficient way, which will reduce the overall cost, and also it can help us to make the market entry in a faster way. And also the thing is like it will provide the overall output as a improved products. And the next thing I'm just going to explain is like type of IP for startups. The first one is patents.
So, Mr. Murugan, sorry to interrupt. I think in the interest of time, we'll take the questions, and then we can cover the remaining part as part of the questions, if that's okay.
Okay, sir. Almost just 3 slides will be there. I will just finish up within some 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, because I think we can, if there's anything specific with respect to your startup that you want to share, please do so in a minute. But anything which is generic, I think we can leave it to the questions.
Yeah, sir. Almost most of things will be generic. Already I have just explored the things
Okay.
to be relevant to common.
Okay.
So that's all, sir.
Okay, thank you. And as I said, like all the presenters have done a great job, but it's hate to stop, but I think we need to take some questions so that we can answer those. So the first question is from Priyanka, and maybe that's for Dr. Dara. Thank you for staying around. The question is, what is tangible licensing agreement and how it is different from material research agreement and partnerships? So if you could throw some light on that.
That's a very good question, I should say. She's trying to compare intangible agreements with that of the material transfer. See, there can be similarities between two. First one would be the material transfer agreement will talk about only the transfer of the material. It doesn't talk about, I mean, it might also talk about the purpose of the material. The purpose of the material can be for the validation purpose, for storage, for transportation, or any such validation may, and whether it is talking about a licensing of that material. Now, what is tangible licensing agreement is that I'm providing a license as well within that material both together. So in your material transfer agreement, you will be providing a physical tangible thing for asset purposes and may with an option may or may not to have a license, but in the intangible agreement, you will also have the license provided. Quickly. Yeah.
Thank you. I think hope Priyanka, hope you have got your answer. Moving on, the next question is: does trade secret be counted in doing IP valuation and acquisitions? If yes, then how should we take trade secret and IP valuation?
Oh my God. See, trade secret is definitely an IP, and valuation is again definitive. For trade secret, the same set of valuation methodologies which are available in kind of technology will not work because the valuation is based on the market drive. So only the market approach would be an appropriate mode. But the valuation of trade secrets is bit before you buy, you say in the in merger and acquisition, you should have an access to the trade secret, which you will not have it. So if you were to do a valuation, actually you are doing a valuation based on the trademark, I would rather say, rather than more than a trade secret. Understanding the trade secret, it is the trademark that you would be evaluating it, how the market has taken it, and how long it is going to pay long. So this is very tricky question. There's no yes and no answer, but definitive yes is trade secrets are valuable, even more valuable than the tangible or intangible IPs, especially if you were to say Coca-Cola recipe, what is the value of Coca-Cola recipe itself is something which you can gauge the value of how big the trade secret can be valued.
I think great answer. Thank you. I think I agree with what you said. I think trade secrets would definitely form part of it. And as you rightly said, sometimes the trademarks have the built-in value of the trade secret as well. Some other thoughts could be like, which jurisdiction are we talking about? Is there an explicit trade secret protection there or not? Are there subordinate laws which can help us protect trade secrets or not? How good or bad it is to reverse engineer it and figure it out. So I think there are quite a few things that can help in that as well. But I think I like the thought that yes, trademarks can have a built-in value of the trade secret. So that's a very, very interesting thought. So thank you. Moving on to the next question. I think the question is about the entity which is doing R&D, which is good in R&D, but lacks the marketing and sales and product execution skills. So is there a way to sustain through IP trading or transfer for technology solutions while the research company does the research work? Do you have any thoughts and suggestions on how they can market and license it out?
Can you please come again? When the company is having the
Okay, so let me
R&D.
read the question. Yeah, it says how IP rights work during deep tech innovations or developing any out-of-the-box solutions. We take courage from idea to validate, but not having bandwidth to go to market or any little upgradation required, which market leader can do, right?
I think you
If
can brief it out, Nitin. The earlier version was much
I
easier.
think what I understand is that at one end there is an R&D group which is doing the R&D, but it doesn't have the reach and scale to market the product, right? Or do the final market readiness development. So how do you go about it? Is there a business model? Is there a market opportunity for such R&D startups or companies who can leave the marketing and sales to the other companies?
As a context says, it's our research and development. In the research and development, marketing is optional. We are only doing the basic research of the technology. We are developing it to the market. So how the market drives through is the part of the market research analyst or the business team. The business team is different from that of the R&D team. In any entity, R&D will never get involved in business until and unless there is a bottleneck in the business which needs to be solved and come back to the R&D. Understood? So I've been in the corporate world also. We have a business unit, we have an R&D unit. There are R&D units, his job is to give two weapons. Give the novel solutions, novel ideas, or the latest technology to the business. Business is to do the marketing and create more business. Unlike if they are facing a bottleneck, the business will come back to again R&D saying that, okay, this is where the technical glitch is, why can't you help it out? So both are independent. One cannot take the role of other until and unless we are a small entity wanted to do both together, then there should be a MBA graduate to handle this. Simple question. Answer.
Yeah, no,
I'll give you two examples for this.
Yes, sir.
One is if they want, they can follow Lemonson Foundation. Lemonson is one of the wonderful inventors. Even IIT Madras people know very well, right? So he was known for only technology development and patenting. And he has not started any company, but he has sold all the technology. I mean, there are a lot of other things happened, but using the IPs only, he amassed wealth and he started his foundation. It is helping people across the world, one. And second thing, the company which I am participating again started inside IIT Madras. It is run by two professors from IIT Madras, professor from IIT Madras. And thing is, deliberately we decided not to go to the market with the products. But we decided to work as a backend R&D operators for few companies like Tata Chemicals, Tata Steel, right? Even Sengo kind of companies. So there, the technologically sound people sitting inside the company plays a major role. So how tech savvy you are, how R&D savvy you are, and what kind of role you can play for those companies, and you don't infringe their expectations. All these things matters when you go with this kind of company. It's very much possible. It all depends on the DNA of the company.
Wonderful. No, great examples. I think very happy to see these kind of examples being there in India. I mean, awesome. So yeah, I think that's a good example as well. So, okay, moving on to the next question, or rather it's a comment which says challenges are bigger than benefits being reaped from IP regime, but we must work upon development of the ecosystem and nurture the entrepreneurship. I guess that's a comment. So maybe we'll move on to the next question. Which says, I'm an individual inventor with a filed and published patent in India and in US. I would like to license my patent currently under examination to concerned government organizations, but I do not want to start any company per se. So in view of this, could you please guide me on the way forward? I guess the previous question was answered in the similar way, but any final closing comment or anything additional on this
And since because it is from Suma, if I'm right, I could read.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is one word says to concern government organization.
Mhm.
So there is a possibility if she or he is interested, they can approach NRDC. Even Professor Avinash Kumar also talking about
Yes.
that. I go back 40 years in the earlier, even my predecessors, when I was to join the organization. That time, India never had the policy or kind of technology transfer, all this IPR, nothing was there. But the government of India wonderfully come up with a department called NRDC and also TIFAC, two things, right? The NRDC was helping all the organizations who are developing technologies and protecting the technology in India as well as outside the country. So in my organization earlier I was working, right? There we had the technology transferred to NRDC. NRDC was still and is still holding the technology. It's a PCT in 18 countries, right? And whenever there is a requirement for technology transfer, they will come to us and we will try to give them the kind of technology backing, and they will transfer to them. And there are hundreds of technologies held by NRDC. They can approach them. It works nicely.
Wonderful.
Even for
Wonderful.
scaling up, they can get a lot of money from them also.
Okay.
I
That's a
think
great
that's
input. Yeah.
appropriate answer for Suma, that if you don't have the technical skill set or the financial that you are in to do the transfer, approach the third party to take help. NRDC would take a chunk of the licensing fees, but it would help you as well. Otherwise, as you said, you can directly approach with your pitch presentations to the government bodies whom you have identified. Get an appointment, try to present your thing and try to offer a solution. Once it gets to the level where what is the value, at that point you can take expert suggestions to evaluate a technology.
Thank you. I think the next one is, how does a process that was patented will be evaluated?
Process, patent?
How does a process that was patented will be evaluated? So I guess I'm assuming, is there a technique to evaluate or do a IP
It's the
valuation?
same standard method of evaluating the technology and process. I guess there is no differences.
Okay. How frequently should statement of working be filed after receiving patent? I guess that's more of a procedural question. Recently, there's been an amendment, so now it's every three years that one has to file. So I think we can probably, let me see if I've missed any question. Software program got copyright. How convert it to patent? So I'm not sure if the question is clear, but I guess there is probably we can comment on how do we go about protecting softwares, right? It's a copyrighted, but is there any other suggestion that you might want to give?
There is a comment from Mithun Kumar or a question. The question is about developing go-to-market strategies post R&D.
Yeah, please, if you have any comments, please share. Yeah.
The thing is, here I'm not sure whether it's post R&D or post validation of the idea or something like that. If they have idea about to be validated, then they can go to GDC in IIT Madras. Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center is doing a wonderful job. I mean, giving this go-to-market strategy to all the startup companies, whoever they want to do, and it's free of cost. They don't take money single pie from them. In turn, they give money to those people who want to do this, test their products. That would be a wonderful idea for them to go to next levels.
What's the name again?
GDC,
Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center.
Deshpande Center, headed by Christian Balasubramanian. So as I told, we were in our ecosystem, we were nurturing, right? This is also one of the part as a pre-incubation.
Okay. 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 So I guess
Done, I guess.
we have probably completed all the questions. I'm hoping that we've not missed any, but thanks again. I think it was a great session. Definitely a lot more to take away from these sessions for me as well. And I'm sure all the participants would have found the value as well. Thanks again to all the panelists and presenters. Great insights. And I hope that these sessions and through your insights, we will develop more IP-led startup culture in India, and the examples that you shared has definitely given great confidence and direction. So thank you again. I would love to connect again with all of you in next opportunities. So thank you and wish you all the best.
Bye.
Okay, Parul and Kirti, hopefully it went well. I guess we had some challenge in managing the time, but hopefully we did a reasonable job there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, and we'll look forward to the stats on this. I think we had more than 175 at the peak, so that was a good sign, and I think at least we had quite a few staying till the end. So but thank you, and we'll connect again.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for joining.